am really happy that you are all here with me today to learn all about client attraction, how to get a steady stream of five-star clients to your law firm, because I am hoping that I can save you a lot of time by learning the lessons that I learned the hard way along the way. I'm Sharon Christie. I am the founder and CEO of Bold Women Lawyers. And Bold Women Lawyers is a business coaching program for lawyers and solo and small firms. So why am I doing this? Because I am a lawyer. And as I said, I've been down this road and I know how difficult it can be. So before we get started, let me tell you just a little bit about my journey as a lawyer. I was a partner for about 15 years in a personal injury and med mal firm, and then went out on my own, had a solo practice for 16 years. And when I went out on my own, I had decided I'd had enough of litigation and I wanted to get into another field. I had been given some exposure to disability law and decided that is what I really wanted to do. And that was great. And I wanted to go out on my own and open my firm and do disability law, which was great, except that I had 0 disability clients. So I had to learn quickly how to ramp that up. And for those of you who may not know about disability law, it's a high volume practice. So I had to learn how to ramp it up and keep it ramped up, at a pretty high level, because in order to make money in that practice, you have to do high volume. But what we're going to talk about today applies across the board, no matter what kind of practice you have. And it applies whether you're in a business to consumer or business to business practice. So we're going to jump in and I'm going to share my screen, which is where we had the problems before. So I'm going to share it. Now, I will tell you, I've had some technical issues here. Once I start sharing the screen, I can't see the chat. So I'm more than happy to answer questions at the end, but I won't be able to answer them as I go along because I can't see the chat. But and anyhow, just save your questions for the end and I can make sure I get them answered. All right, here we go. Okay, now, you, I know, have heard Abe Lincoln's quote, "A lawyer stock in trade is his time and advice." And that's true. I mean, that's what we deal in. That's the service that we provide. We provide advice, we provide legal evaluations, and, we're selling our time and our advice. But your business success depends on your ability to generate great clients. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that getting a steady stream of five-star clients to your law firm is not about being a great lawyer. Your clients assume you're at least a good lawyer, which of course you are. They may believe you to be a great lawyer, but the public doesn't have a good way to figure that out. And frankly, they don't really care. They want to know if you can help them. But frequently lawyers feel like, well, look, I'm really good at what I do, and I'm just going to go out there and do it, and I'll get noticed. And of course, that's not how it works. Getting a steady stream of five-star clients to your law firm depends on your ability to be a great marketer of your services. And you can be a great marketer, even though you've never marketed anything in your life. Believe me, that was me. I never sold or marketed anything, but I learned how to do it, and you can too. So let's talk about, first of all, who is it that you're looking for? It's not just anybody. It's not just anybody that calls your office or texts you or sends you an email or walks through the door. You want those five-star clients because it's the most profitable and it's the most enjoyable. But who are they? What's a five-star client? They are the people that are easy to work with. And they bring you a profitable case or engagement. And what I find in the lawyers that I'm working with is we don't always think about, and I didn't in the beginning, can I make a profit on this case? But you know what? Your business mind has to be focused on that. You're running a law firm, which is a business. And if you can't make a profit, you can't stay in business. So is the case or the engagement, is this profitable? A 5-star client listens to your advice. Now, I know you have all had this experience because I certainly had it more than once. You're working hard on a case, you're working hard on the matter to resolve whatever the issue is. You have it all worked out. You sit down with your client, you go over it, you give them your advice, and it goes in one ear and out the other of the client because they're not paying attention to your advice and they go off and do something different. And it's very frustrating. I know it and you know it. So a 5-star client's not like that. They're going to listen to what you have to say, and then they're going to pay your bill on time. They're not going to fuss with you. Or, my practice was contingent fee. They didn't fuss when my contingent fee was paid to me. They didn't fuss about that. They were happy. They were contented clients. They were good to work with. And I wanted a law firm full of nothing but those types of clients. Now, here's your worst nightmare. Your calendar is empty because you don't have enough work, or your calendar is full of really bad clients and cases. And I'm not talking about bad people. I'm talking about those engagements, those cases that aren't profitable with a client that's really demanding, taking all of your time, and you're really hating life when you're working on that case or with that client. So what can you do? What do you do? All right. There's 5 steps. You choose the client, you find the client, you catch their attention, you get retained and you serve the client, and then you keep that client, hopefully for life. We're going to go over each step one by one, but I will tell you that if you consistently implement these 5 steps, you will have a steady stream come into your office. You're not going to worry about where's the next client coming from. You're not going to worry about it. So let's start with choose. Okay, so choose is, let me get rid of this. Well, maybe I can get rid of it. There you go. Choose is I say niche, other people say niche, I say niche. What's your niche? And, it's more than your area of specialty, but you have to start there. I've had the conversation with lawyers when I ask them, what's your specialty? What kind of work do you do? Well, I mostly do divorces, but I also do some car accident cases, and I'll do a bankruptcy if that comes along. Oh, yeah. And maybe workers' comp. When you're that all over the board, you're not going to be able to focus your time and attention enough to be able to get a great stream of clients. So you start with what's your niche? And whether to choose a niche or not, that's really not the question anymore. Unless you live in a really, really tiny, tiny town where a general practice is going to work, which is not most of us, you have to find a niche and you have to be very narrow in that niche. It's so important because as you create a marketing message, if you have not narrowed your focus, narrowed your niche, you're trying to speak to everyone. And in fact, you speak to no one. I've had a conversation with a lawyer who was in trust and estates. And I said, that's great. You're a trust and estate lawyer. Let's talk a little more narrowly about who you really serve. And her answer was, you know what? I serve anybody over the age of 18 who needs a will. Okay, can she do that? Of course she can. She's competent to do that. But is that going to be a way to focus your specialty area and ultimately your marketing? It is not, because you can see if you're trying to speak to everyone from the age of 18 to the age of, I don't know, in their 70s or 80s, you're speaking to no one, because their concerns in the various different age groups are really different in terms of trust and estate work. So first, Remember, if you're trying to speak to everybody, you're really speaking to no one. The more specific you can be about the ideal client that we're going to talk about in a minute, that's the person that you want to serve within your niche. The more specific you can be about them, the more effective your marketing message is going to be. And, for your own peace of mind, as well as your marketing, it is much better for you in business to be an expert in one or maybe two contiguous or related areas rather than trying to be an expert in multiple areas. Just on the legal side, trying to keep up with multiple areas of law and keep up with changes in the law is way too difficult. So get your focus on one area. You may want to expand down the road to two, but start with one, become the expert in that area who knows exactly who you want to serve, and you'll be able to grow your firm and get that steady stream of clients that keep coming to you. So I've mentioned ideal client, right? You've heard this before, I'm sure. Ideal client, client avatar. There's other names that people use, but we're talking about who is the ideal person that you would want as a client. Who is the person that you would clone if you could? And I'm smiling while I say this because I can think of people that were in my law firm, my clients, like I know exactly who I would want to clone and have a law firm full of those people. And why were they ideal? Well, they were ideal because I loved working with them, because they were easy to work with. They provided me the information when I needed it. They signed the documents when I needed them to do it. They showed up for our conferences or our phone conferences. They were the kind of people that made my job easy to do and made me love my job. So that's my ideal client. Why is it important that I know who it is? Well, because I need to describe him or her in great detail. And why do I need that? You need that because that's the basis of the marketing message you're going to put out to get that steady stream of great clients. Now, when I say describe him or her in detail, I mean, put it in writing, pen to paper, if you're a pen and paper kind of person, keyboard to computer, if you're a keyboard to computer person, however you put things in writing, you're going to put it in writing and you're going to review it regularly. But you start with the detail. Now, as I said before, this is going to apply whether you're in a B2C, business to consumer practice, or B2B, business to business practice. And the reason that it's the same is in a B2B practice, think about it. You may serve businesses, right? But there's a person who makes the decision about who they're going to hire as the lawyer. And that's your ideal client. That's who you want to know everything you can about. So what is it you want to do? I mean, you want to know. You start with the demographics. That part's kind of easy. Age, gender, marital status, occupation, income, geographic location, the basics, the things that you are going to know immediately because you should be getting that from your intake, right? So that's your demographics, but you need to go much deeper to learn about your ideal client. So for example, what media do they consume, including social media, and how do they use it? Do they have any interest groups? How about hobbies? What are their hobbies? Do they belong to any professional organizations or service organizations? The more you can learn about the details of your ideal client and his or her life, the easier it is for you to not just create a marketing message, but to put that message out, because you will know your ideal client so well that you'll know exactly where to go to find them. But you start with the basic description. And then you have to find them. Okay. Where's your ideal client? Because you could have the greatest marketing message in the world, but if you're putting it in a place where your ideal client doesn't go, It won't matter. You're wasting your time. So, where is your ideal client? How do you find him or her? Start with market research. Now, when I say market research, I do not mean go out and hire some, expensive company to go do market research for you. I'm talking about, talk to your market, talk to your current clients, talk to your former clients. One of the things I realized as I was um, working on my solo firm and trying to move it forward was that I didn't really know a whole lot about my ideal client, but I had a source of information where I could learn more. And so here's what I did. I thought about, like, who are the great clients that I'm working with now or that I've worked with in the past? And I went to them and I said, you're a great client. I loved working with you. My team loved working with you. I would really love to find more people like you. It would really help my business if I could do a little interview of you and, maybe spend 15 minutes, find out more about, the things that you like, that you don't like, where you get your information from, how you spend your time if you're when you're doing things other than working with your lawyer, and just asked them flat out, would you be willing to do that? I will tell you that every single person said, sure, I'm happy to do that. And they were flattered. They were flattered that I even asked. And so I just came up with a list of questions that would help me to know where I could find more people like the people I loved working with. And I got great information when I did that. So that's the first place you want to start. Do your market research with your current clients and your former clients. Now, some of the things that I asked about were both related to online and offline areas where I could find them. So let me talk first about online. I learned a lesson the very hard way about online and specifically social media. So here's what happened. When I was first, working on my law firm, it was at a time when lawyers were just starting to use YouTube. Okay, and that's all changed now. But back then, they're just starting to use it. And I had a mentor, I had a coach, and I was told, yeah, you really need to get into it. You really need to get into YouTube. And this was my response. I hate YouTube. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's silly. I am not going to do it. Give me another suggestion. I am not going to do it. I was adamant. I was not going to do it. Okay, fine. So I didn't. And I'm talking to a new client one day, and she is really, really well informed about the disability process and the basics, which was surprising because I didn't run into that very often. So I said to her, you really are well informed about this. How did you learn so much? And what was her answer? Oh, she said, there's a lawyer down in Atlanta. He does disability cases. He's got all kinds of YouTube videos. And I just watched a couple of his videos. I really learned a lot. Well, okay, lesson learned for me, right? Because, of course, the light bulb went off. I should not have been so stubborn. I should have listened to the advice I was given. But better late than never, I immediately said to myself, okay, you're getting on YouTube. You're going to figure this out. Now, I knew nothing about YouTube, social media, how to shoot a video. I didn't know any of it. And friends would say, oh, just find a teenager. But unfortunately, I didn't have a teenager at my house that could help me with this. So what I did was pretty simple. I mean, I was in the beginning of my law firm. I didn't have a lot of money to spend on things like I couldn't hire somebody to do professional videos and all that stuff. So I hired a college student as my marketing assistant. She was my part-time assistant. She was a college student. She was a communications major, as I remember, but she knew all about YouTube and how to do it. I bought an iPad. Because that's what we were using back then. She would come to my office every Monday morning, and we would do 2 to 3 very short videos about Social Security disability, which is not exactly, the most engaging topic in the world, except if you're sick and you need it. But that's what we would talk about. And I would just basically be doing frequently asked questions. I would just be providing very basic, simple information. She'd shoot it. She'd go back to her dorm room. She would fancy it up and put in music and captions and all kinds of stuff. She started my YouTube channel, and we were off and running. And for the next almost 15 years, I did 2 to 3 YouTube videos a week on the basics, and if there was changes in the law, and very short, but very effective. I got a ton of business from that. And at one point we had 4,000 plus followers now, or subscribers. And I know for like big YouTube people that's nothing, but I have to tell you, for the topic Social Security disability, which is really boring, it was stunning to me that 4,000 people had subscribed, but they had. And I sold my practice last year. I actually merged my disability practice with another law firm, and I'm of counsel to that firm. We still are getting cases from those YouTube videos. So my point to you is this: don't let your personal feelings about a type of social media, don't let that get in the way. If you determine that your potential clients are there, then you need to be there. Put your personal feelings aside and just go there and use that social media outlet as one of the ways you find your potential clients. And let me tell you something else here. It's easy to get caught up in, somebody will tell you TikTok is good, or YouTube is good, or LinkedIn is good, or Instagram, or whatever, whatever the social media du jour is. You should be on this, you should be on that. You should only be on the social media where your potential clients are for business purposes, and focus on one. If later you want to spread out to 2, that's fine, or 3, that's fine. But in the beginning, focus on one, perfect that one, and then you can branch out. And only branch out if your potential clients are there, because otherwise you're wasting your time. Okay. Let's talk about offline, because there's, so much focus on online, and that's great. But what can you do offline to get potential clients? Well, you find out where they are. Now, remember I said, some of the information you want from your potential clients is, what groups do they belong to, if any? Do they belong to any service organizations? Do they belong to any professional groups? Why do you want to know that? You want to know that because you need to figure out, are there ways that you can get in front of those groups? So again, I'll use my own experience as a disability lawyer. That's focused on health problems. And I really narrowed it down in terms of which problems I wanted to focus my marketing on. So one of the groups that I looked at was brain injury. I represent a lot of people who had suffered from brain injuries that were less than catastrophic, but were still severe enough that it prevented them from working. And what I found pretty quickly was the Brain Injury Association of Maryland. Now I'm in Maryland, and so I found that. And what else did I find? I found that I had clients that were members of it, that went to their support groups. This was all great information. Why? Because I contacted the executive director of the organization, introduced myself. I asked for information about the organization. I became a vendor at their annual educational conference. And then I contacted the heads of their support groups. And I said, excuse me, it was very simple. I introduced myself. I'm Sharon Christie. I'm a disability lawyer. I am happy to come and speak to your group for free, if they have questions about disability and the disability process, and you think that would be helpful. Well, you can imagine, I had a ton of requests to come and speak. And again, this was not hard. I was answering the frequently asked questions. So you want to find out about where your clients are going other than coming to you for help. Where else are they going for help or for information so that you can get yourself in front of them? Referral sources and professional opportunities. So something else you want to think about is, your clients are coming to you for your legal services. They have a legal problem, but they see other professionals, they deal with other professionals. Who are they? And does it make sense for you to get yourself in front of those groups? So I know this is true for some of my clients who handle family law matters, and it was true for me too. I had many clients who would also be getting mental health services, and many of them saw licensed clinical social workers. And I felt that that would be a great referral source. So I did a little investigation and found what? Of course, there's a professional group for licensed clinical social workers. And it turned out in Maryland, they did educational conferences twice a year. And twice a year, I was a vendor at their conference. And that gave me the opportunity to meet face to face with some people who were already sending me business, but other people who needed someone to refer their clients to. And you know what? Here's the other thing that was kind of surprising. I was the only lawyer there. And this went on for years. I was the only lawyer there of any kind. And I knew that there were other specialty areas within law that probably ought to be there, but I was the only one there. So think, I hate that term outside the box, but I'm going to use it. Think outside the box. We think of referral partners frequently as lawyers, we think other lawyers, and that's a great source of referrals. But go way beyond that because there's lots of other professionals that your clients are probably interacting with. So now you found them. Now what are you going to do? Now you have to catch their attention. And what this means is show your potential clients that you understand their problem and you can help them. What do they worry about? How do they phrase it? How do they describe it? Now, you can get this information from your intake. When people call you, when people call your office or email you, you talk to them for the first time. How do they describe the problems that they have? What words do they use? You will find that you're going to hear the same phrases over and over again. As a disability lawyer, one of the things that I heard over and over again was this: I've worked all my life paying into the system. I've never asked for anything. And now I need help. Why is this so hard? Why does this take so long? I'm really frustrated by that. I can understand that. But I was able to take those words and use that in my marketing. Have you worked your whole life paying into the Social Security system? Are you now sick and unable to work? Are you frustrated because it's taking so long when you've asked for nothing? You see where I'm going with that. But what does that do? When a potential client reads that, the first thing they're going to think is, oh my gosh, it's like she's in my brain. She knows exactly how I'm feeling. That's what you want to be able to do. That's going to catch the attention of those potential clients out there. You understand their problem. And then you want to, let them know how you can help them resolve that problem. How would their life be different after they worked with you? Assuming you can't make any promises, and we don't, and you know that, but assuming that you can resolve their problem, how would life be different? In my case, if we were able to get them disability benefits, they'd have an income. They'd have medical insurance. Those were big things that I emphasized. If we're successful, this is what happens. But you need to catch their attention. And the first way you catch their attention, use the words that they use when they describe the problem to you. Now, being retained and serving the client. If you have done the choosing and the finding and the catching their attention well, this part's going to be easy because the client is not going to hesitate to retain you. The client is going to know that you are the person that they need, and they're going to hope that you say yes to their case. They, a potential client will need to know you and like you and trust you in order to become a client. If you are letting them know that you understand their problem and how it affects them and that you're going to work to resolve it, they're going to know you, they're going to like you, they're going to trust you. The other way you can make yourself the expert that they know, like, and trust is you write an ebook or a booklet. And I can tell you that it's basically, I can talk to you after this about how to do that. It's not that hard, but you're basically answering those frequently asked questions. But the best business card I ever created was a short booklet about Social Security disability. It made me an expert, and it also put my name in front of lots of potential clients and referral sources. And people don't tend to throw that stuff away because I did it as a hard copy, and people tend to keep it. So, but once you're retained, the other, part of getting a steady stream of great clients is great client service. And it starts when somebody calls your office. And I think you probably heard this, but make it friendly. Okay. Let me tell you the experience that a lot of people have when they call a law firm. And I've had it when I've called law firms. I'll call and somebody will answer the phone and they'll say, Smith and Jones Law. And then that's all they'll say. And then there's dead silence. And you're on the other end of the line and you're thinking, did they hang up? Is somebody there? What's going on here? It's not the least bit friendly. And you have to remember, particularly if your clients are consumers, when they contact your law firm, that may be the first time they've ever talked to anybody at a law firm ever. Okay. And they might be a little intimidated by it. It's really easy to have a friendly greeting. You write the script. You write the script for the people who are answering the phone for you. And we had a simple script at my law firm. The firm was Sharon Christie Law. And it went like this. Welcome to Sharon Christie Law. This is Betty. How can I help you? And they said it with a smile. But it was just such a different approach than if they had just said Sharon Christie Law. And then we had this dead silence. And the client doesn't know what to say, like, hello, well, hi. They don't know what to do. Be friendly. One of the basic principles of my law firm was we put, and I called it customer service or client service, we put that first. I wanted all of our clients to be treated like I wanted to be treated, or if it was my sister or my best friend or my brother or my father, whoever it might be, applying for disability. I wanted us to treat all of our clients the way I would want my family or friends treated. And we all subscribed to that principle. It made a huge difference. I consistently heard, I can't tell you how wonderful your team is. They're so good to work with. They were so friendly. They were so understanding. And what did it do on the back end once the case was over? We continue to get referrals from those clients. It just kept coming because they had such a great experience. And we were able to create raving fans through the way we served the clients, when they were active clients with us. So you always want to make sure you keep that in mind. Create those raving fans. They will continue to refer to you, and it starts from the first time they call your office. The fifth step is to keep the client. Obviously, you're going to keep the client during the case, but the case is going to end or the engagement is going to end, but your relationship with that client should go on. And how do you do that? Make sure you are consistently touching them. And by that, I mean, you're staying in touch with them, right? Don't take them off your mailing list just because the case is over. Here's what you never, ever want to have happen. You are a divorce lawyer. You have a client, Susan. You do a great job for her. She's thrilled. And 3 years later, her best friend comes to her and says, okay, this is it. My marriage is over. I've headed to divorce. I need a lawyer. And your former client, Susan, says, I had the best divorce lawyer. She was great. She had this wonderful team. They kept me informed. They calmed me down. They explained every step of the process. It's difficult going through it, but they made it so much better and so much easier. What was her name? She was great. I'm telling you, this is who you need. Yeah, what was her name? Well, I can't think of her name, but when I think of it, I know I'll think of it. When I think of it, I'll let you know. Well, and you've lost that client, right? Because Susan's never going to remember. And why isn't she going to remember? Because you didn't keep in touch with her. So keeping in touch is easy. If you remember your former clients, they're going to refer to you. So keep sending them your newsletter, whether it's a hard copy or an e-newsletter. Keep sending birthday cards, that has your name and your contact information. If you have firm announcements, if you hire an associate, you have a new paralegal, or if you're a brick and mortar office, and you move your office, send her an announcement. We would send postcards. We would send, for each season, just wishing clients a happy, winter or spring or whatever the season was, just with a nice message. It didn't have anything legal about it, just had a nice message. But that wasn't the point. The point was I wanted my name and my phone number and my email address right in front of them every couple of months. If there's any updates on the law that you send out, send that to your former clients. Anything at all that you send to current clients, send it to your former clients, unless they contact you and say, take me off your list. Or, if you're doing this all online, of course, you have the unsubscribe button. And that's fine. If they want to unsubscribe, of course, that's fine. But don't make that assumption. Keep them on your mailing list. Keep it active. Get your name in front of them. Get your contact information. Keep it in front of them so that they will always remember who you were and they can refer other people to you. So those are the 5 steps for you to get the steady stream of great clients. I will tell you, you can also, if you go to my website at boldwomenlawyers.com, you can download my solo success. As I was saying, if you go to my website, boldwomenlawyers.com, get my solo success guide. It talks about the 3 pillars of every successful law firm, which is mindset, marketing, and management, or your processes. There's lots of other business tips in there. And, I think you'll enjoy it. The other thing is, if you want to talk about what's going on in your firm, I'm happy to do that. Just book a clarity call with me, and I will be more than happy to talk about what's going on with you and, see if there's some things that we can work on together. Please don't hesitate to give me a call if you or an email if you need any help, or just go on and book that clarity session. I'd love to talk to you. All right. Have a great day.